Secretary to the Government of the Federation today, Mr. Boss Mustafa, told governors-elect and returning governors that they should invest in people of Nigeria and not focus on projects that are not necessary for the development of their states. President-elect Bola Ahmed Tinubu today met with the presidential candidate of the NNPP in France, Mr. Mutfwang. Hello everyone, welcome to the program. This is Politics Today, live on Channels Television. I'm Sean Wakimalo in Abuja. Let's begin by letting you know about the story involving the president-elect Bola Tinubu and the presidential candidate of the new Nigeria People's Party, Mutfwang. Both men have met in Paris, in France. The meeting, which took place in the French capital yesterday, was brokered by one of Mutfwang's ally, we understand, Honorable Abdulmumin Jibrin, was formerly in Tinubu's camp. We understand that from a source very close to them, that the meeting was to broker peace and talks between both camps, and are being concluded, albeit to bring forward what they term as a government of national unity. There are also conversations about reconciling of parties who are loyal to the APC and the possibility of the involvement of Mr. Mutfwang in playing an active role in the government, incoming government. We also can tell you that President Muhammadu Buhari has since returned to Nigeria after a 2 weeks travel to the United Kingdom. The president spent a time first to attend the coronation of the King of England, and he's now back to Abuja. As always, so much to talk about tonight on the program. First, we'll be telling you about what is happening as far as the governors who are, some of them who are returning, some of them who are newly elected, what their plans are. They are in Abuja going through an induction process. But what do they have in store for their people? Tonight, we'll be speaking with the governor-elect of Plateau State. Stay around with me, everyone. Plus, things are really heating up in respect of the leadership politics of the National Assembly, the 10th National Assembly leadership for the election of the presiding officers. And tonight we'll be hearing what exactly is going on, the agitations in the north-central region of the country. The caucus met with the governors of the region, and we'll be hearing more on that tonight. So stay around with me, everyone, because we'll serve you with your political roundup stories, and we'll come back to discuss more.
The inclusion of independent candidacy in Nigeria's electoral process may soon become a reality, as the Senate is set to forward the Constitution Amendment Bill to guarantee independent candidacy to President Muhammadu Buhari for assent. The Senate's decision to forward the Constitution Amendment Bill for assent follows the passage of the bill by some state houses of assembly, ensuring that the bill met the constitutional requirements for passage and can now be sent to President Buhari for assent. The Deputy Senate President, Ovie Omo-Agege, disclosed this new development to lawmakers during Tuesday's plenary session.
Number 46, membership of the National Security Council to include presiding officers of the National Assembly 2023, and Bill number 58, independent candidacy 2023, have now met the provisions of Section 9, Section 2 of the Constitution for passage.
The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has sworn in Mr. Mahmouda Issa for a second and final term as a resident electoral commissioner. Mr. Issa was sworn in during the commission's weekly meeting, which has the INEC chairman, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, national commissioners, and the secretary to the commission in attendance. In his address, the INEC chairman urged him to always abide by the provision of the law and be loyal to the citizens of Nigeria. Issa was first appointed in January of 2018 and served in both Jigawa and Kaduna states before his term expired in January of 2023. He's been deployed to the Federal Capital Territory. The internal wranglings in the All Progressives Congress in Zamfara State, which led to the party's poor outing in the just concluded 2023 general elections, is yet to settle. This time around, it is the APC National Defense Coalition that is making a demand of the incoming administration to discipline APC members in the state who worked against the party during the elections. The group is particularly asking the president-elect and his vice not to consider anyone from Zamfara State who contributed to their poor performance at the 2023 elections in the state for any appointments in the government.
We are finally calling on the president-elect Tinubu Ahmed Bola Tinubu not to consider any of the APC members who worked with the opposition against the APC.
Former Governor of Zamfara State and Senator-elect Mr. Abdulaziz Yari is insisting that he is in the race for the Senate presidency in the 10th Assembly, despite his party's selection of Senator Godswill Akpabio for the position. Mr. Yari stated this while fielding questions from journalists on the sidelines of the induction program for senators and members-elect of the 10th National Assembly holding in Abuja. He says his decision to contest for the position of Senate President is not an affront against his party, the ruling All Progressives Congress.
I'm trying to get the indulgence of my colleagues to trust me and hire me. And at the same time, if I did do wrong somewhere, they fire me. So the hiring and firing is the exclusive responsibility of members of the National Assembly.
As part of measures to protect local inventions, the Minister of Science, Technology and Innovation, Mr. Olorunimbe Mamora, has recommended the banning of all foreign goods that can be produced locally in Nigeria. Addressing State House correspondents at the 71st Ministerial Media Briefing at the State House, Mr. Mamora regrets the underutilized research works and inventions simply gathering dust in the various agencies because of lack of investors.
I will rather continue greater engagement with terrestrial bodies than moving to the celestial bodies.
There you have it. You've been served with your political random stories. So today is day 2 of the induction program with the governor-elect and returning governors, an exercise meant to prepare the state leaders for the task of governing the federating units. At that event today, the Secretary to the Government of the Federation was speaking on behalf of the Vice President, Professor Yemi Oshibajo, who was supposed to address the gathering today, and he was asking them areas they need to focus on as leaders of their different states. Take a listen to him.
Your Excellencies, apart from the necessity of focus on the fundamental development challenges I mentioned above, it is imperative to unleash the potentials that lie in our youth. It's no longer news that over 75% of our population is under the age of 35. More decisive actions are needed to turn this demographic asset into an economic dividend. A young, productive, youthful population with access to education, skills, social protection, affordable housing, and Medicare will power Nigeria's economy now and well into the future. We must move away from so-called youth empowerment programs that do not add any value. The youth do not need handouts. They need investments that will propel them to wealth creators.
That's the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa. Let's focus our attention now to the task of governing, because the governors they're coming together and they are brainstorming, thinking about the best ways to handle the affairs of state. I'm being joined tonight by one of the governors-elect. This time around is one of those who defeated a sitting political party, an incumbent party, to becoming a governor-elect this time around in Plateau State, Mr. Caleb Mutfwang. Thank you so much indeed for joining us tonight.
Thank you, Sean. Good evening, viewers.
Appreciate it. How ready are you?
I'm ready.
You asked for the job, isn't it?
I asked for it. Like they say, uneasy lies the head that wears the crown. Mm-hmm. Since the declaration, we've been thinking, strategizing, and putting our plans together. The the weight of the assignment is beginning to dawn, and but we asked for it, and we have to give it a go.
Are you up to the task?
By God's grace, we are.
What gives you the impression that a state like Plateau, you have the capacity to run the affairs?
I come in with empathy. I come in with empathy. My trajectory has been one that has prepared me for service. I have been a people-oriented person all my life, and I have been able to be in a position to bear the burdens of people. And therefore, I think nothing prepares you in life than to know that people know that they can trust you, that you will be there for them. And we've come, at this point in my life, I am not looking at anything other than the opportunity to serve humanity.
And your people in Plateau State, we need a lot of the empathy.
Sure.
And more than the empathy, the emotions will not work as much as possible. That might be an initial effort that they will need because of the pains they are going through. They will need a lot of proactive action, which I assume that you probably are thinking about. If not, then there is a lot of problem. Because we understand that just today, there was a curfew that was declared in a local government due to an attack. It looks like a reprisal, but these are commonplace in your state of Plateau. Do you have an idea of what the problem is?
Yes, thank you. Unfortunately, Sheun, sadly enough, it's my local government. A lot of the people that have been killed are my people, even though everybody on the plateau are my people. But certainly, we knew all along that this was not going to be a walk in the park. This was not going to be an easy task. And by the grace of God, we are determined. One of the things we promised our people when we were campaigning is that we are going to demonstrate leadership. And by that I mean we're going to take some very tough decisions. We're going to look into the issues dispassionately, and we're going to be able to confront the issues and come up with solutions. Of course, I do not have a magic wand, but by the grace of God and together with the people, we're going to think through our issues and be able to come up with homegrown solutions to the challenges that confront us. But we're going to give leadership. We're going to show the people that we have the political will to take the decisions that are necessary to move the state forward.
What is the problem, really? I mean, you were a former local government chairman.
Yeah.
So you are a grassroots man in a lot of sense.
That's right.
We'll go into the governance of local government and that disparity that we see in the development in the rural areas and in the urban areas. But then you understand the problem because you have been there as a local government chair.
Absolutely.
Why the killing? You said they've been killing your people in your area. Who are these people?
Fine. What has happened today, yesterday into today, it will be an injustice to the people that were killed to call it a clash or reprisal. This is pure genocide. And I want to address it from the criminal angle of it, because one of the things we promise our people again when we come into government is that we're going to be strong on the rule of law. It doesn't matter whoever commits crime, irrespective of where you belong, will have to deal with it headlong. So
when you say genocide,
yes.
Genocide is a deliberate attempt in clearing out a group of people.
Absolutely.
So who are these people planning genocide on your people? Because this is a very strong language.
Very well. I can tell you that there's been a lot of banditry around the plateau. It didn't start today. It's been going on for years. And a lot of communities today have been wiped out. I can tell you that the last count we had about 64 communities that have been displaced completely. In my state alone. Yesterday,
and they are displaced, they no longer exist in those communities.
Absolutely. They are now in IDP camps. I had the privilege yesterday at the Governor's Induction Forum to talk with Her Excellency, the Deputy General Secretary of the United Nations, and I told her, look, the IDPs you're focusing on in the Northeast do not only exist there, they also exist in the North Central, and you need to turn your attention to the IDPs in the North Central. We have quite a number of them. They have been in camps for years. We need to escalate that conversation so that these people can go back to their ancestral lands.
So you need to explain to us who are the people behind this genocidal act, like you've described it.
Yeah.
Who are these people?
Well, at this point in time, you know, I need to be careful because I'm not the chief executive of the state. There's a sitting government, and I would want to respect the government in power to be able to disseminate the right information. I do not have yet authority to be able to disclose a lot of security issues at the moment because the rightful person to receive and disclose them is the governor on seat. So let me respect that. But I can assure you that these people are people that were brought in from outside those communities, outside the state. I do not have exact details to give you at the moment, but all the years down the line, a lot of the identities have been revealed that these are not Nigerians. And they have been brought in as foreign mercenaries, and they overrun these territories. Sometimes, of course, it is difficult to disabuse the minds of people that it is not in collusion with some of the people that are resident in those communities, within or around those communities. But largely, there's a large influx of foreigners who are not resident in the state per se. What they do a lot of the times, they come in and attack, and they go back to wherever they came from. So it's difficult to really be able to place identities.
What could be their target? What could be their reason? What is their grievance? What exactly is their purpose of wanting to clean out a group of people?
The purpose of those who perpetrate the attack may just be because they are mercenaries and hirelings. I want to ask, who is the person who is sponsoring them? Who is instigating them? What is his aim? And you want to look at it sometimes, it's difficult to disabuse your mind that this is not about land grabbing. You know, if the communities that have been displaced, as I'm talking to you now, it's not as if they've been left vacant. Some people are occupying them. And so it's difficult not to begin to ask those questions. What is the motive of these invaders or the sponsors of the invaders? And we think it has a lot to do with land grabbing. It has a lot to do with demarketing of the state. Because, again, I can tell you that the security situation on the Plateau has not been the worst in the north. But there's been a lot of demarketing of the Plateau. And sometimes I find it quite deliberate and a lot of skewed narratives that try to make people to be scared of coming into Plateau. But the truth is, yes, there have been attacks, but perhaps not even as bad as you have in Kaduna State. But you find that businesses are still thriving in Kaduna, while a lot of people have the perception that Jos, for example, is a no-go area, which is not true.
But do you think that this has any kind of ethnic or religious connotation?
Of course, you have to look at it from a multifaceted dimension. There is a lot of economic benefits people start to gain because even criminality itself has an economic dividend. You have to look at it from the political point of view to try to subjugate. I do not want to celebrate religion because I do not think that those who maim and kill, they only use religion as a pretext, but it's not that they want to advance their religion. A lot of the times when people are looking for political oxygen, you find that they now fan these embers of hatred around religion and ethnicity to be able to find space within the polity. But I don't want to glorify it with those. But certainly what we are seeing is that there is a deliberate plan to be able to dislocate the people and then to be able to take over the land for other purposes.
I mean, if there was any place in Nigeria that Europeans are very much in love with, tourists who want to go to Jos, because A lot of things. I mean, perhaps is in that place I think I first ate my, the first, what's the name of these lovely fruits that I first ate in Nigeria. I mean, I ate it only once outside of Nigeria, but it was the first time I ate it. I remember the name, just skipped my mind. The berries, I mean, fresh, lovely. And I'm wondering also how suddenly Plateau State turned into a place that had become so badly dealt with in terms of insecurity. And you have promised that you will return those who are in the IDP camps to their ancestral lands and homes. How soon do you plan to do that, and how do you hope to achieve that?
Thank you, Shaun. You know, Plateau has been christened the home of peace and tourism, and it's not far from reality. Our biggest asset on the plateau, I believe, is our climate, which is God-given, apart from the natural resources in the ground. And the weather is clement for medical tourism. It's clement even for hospitality, and so on and so forth. Now, like I said, there has been a deliberate plan over the years, it would appear, to be able to demarcate Jos, for example. And but what we are going to be doing in the course of the days is to engage the populace, engage the citizenry, engage the media to be able to situate our real situation as it is, that Plateau is still a destination for everybody. You can still come to Plateau, and you can still live on the plateau, and you can still thrive on the plateau. But the issue of IDPs particularly is not going to be just, there's no magic wand about it. It's going to be a multi-stakeholder approach to resolving the issue so that the people can return to their ancestral lands. It's difficult to place time frames, but we will want to get to work as soon as we get sworn in and see how we can bring all the critical stakeholders to the discussion table and see what are the issues that we need to tackle in order to move forward.
How soon do you think this can be? Do you have a timeline for which you want your people to get back to their ancestral lands?
Oh, as soon as yesterday, if it were possible. But I can't place a timeline on this.
But what are the mechanisms do you hope to be able to put in place to make this happen?
Yes. We're going to create a standing committee that will handle this issue. So far, it has been an ad hoc approach, but we're going to have a standing, robust desk that will handle this issue, and we're going to engage the security agencies, we're going to engage the international development partners, we're going to engage the communities that surround those communities, and see how we can have a multi-stakeholder approach to discussing all the issues. My hope is that from swearing in and before the year runs out, we would have gained significant mileage in this direction.
There is a talk about focusing on what matters to the people, and I don't want to be going into the statistics of the number of poor people, out-of-school children in the northern Nigeria. And I mean, I see that you're already even making moves in looking at appointment. Looks so much that you are ready to get into office and hit the ground running. One of the papers that were presented today was by the governor of Lagos State, who was talking about hitting the ground running. But the question now is, hitting the ground running, the issue of poverty is there. The boss Mustafa has said, do not focus on these editorial and just reducing governance to and out. What in real sense, how do you hope to take your people out of poverty? There is a huge number of people who cannot even feed. The last figure released by the NBSA is multidimensionally 153 million people are in abject poverty in this country.
Absolutely. And interestingly, Plateau is about number 26 on that index. And so we really have a good share of the poverty situation. Yes, Shaun, what we need to do as soon as we get sworn in is to come up with pragmatic and practical steps that will ensure that the people trust us, that we are going to be able to walk the talk. Of course, what do we need to address those issues beyond handouts? One of the key apart from dealing with the security challenges, which would allow our people to go back to the farms and to engage in meaningful economic activity, of course, one of the key economic activities which would drive our economy is agriculture. And over the years, due to the insurgency, there has been a decline in productivity in that sector. We want to be able to address that drift and make sure that people can go back to their farms. And of course, as they go back to their farms, we need to also empower them. I believe in the philosophy that it is better to teach a man how to fish than giving him handouts of fish to eat. So if we get our people back to the farms, we give them the necessary implements to farm, the necessary support to farm, both in terms of subsidized fertilizer, in other farming inputs, that we can be able to be sure that at the end of the farming season, people can feed themselves. So food security is a key target for us. And our aim is that every family on the plateau, by the grace of God, in the next 4 years, should be able to feed themselves.
How do you hope to achieve that? What would be your major target point? What would be the crop that you are focusing on in terms of the crop, the farming, the agricultural part of it, in terms of the production of that crop into food item? How do you hope to transmute that into the food on the table?
Beautiful. We need to immediately get into looking at our farming methods. We need to progressively improve on our farming methods.
Are you going to buy mechanized farming tools for them?
Already we have some bit of it that we need to make more operational. We had the ASTC program, which is a service farm that aggregates farming implements which farmers can access. At the last count, I know we have about 300 tractors on ground, which is not to be given to individuals. Farmers can come, rent, and be able to farm. But beyond that, we want to be able to see if we can leverage on our schools of mechanical agriculture to get us implements that will improve our farming methods. Now, that is very key, especially to attracting youth back to the farms. And we need to also be able to deploy technology. We're talking about greenhouse farming, for example, today. The opportunities to do a lot of that on the plateau is very vast.
Okay, so I asked that question because there was a time that Kebbi State and Lagos State had a partnership to produce the lake rice. There was a time when Bukola Saraki in Kwara State got a partnership with Zimbabwe farmers, and they got a very huge expanse of land for farming. And I understand at that time there was a WAPCO that goes there to take milk, raw milk from the cows. There were those cows that were brought in from South Africa also by the Zimbabwean farmers. And that is a scheme that was generating revenue for a state. Same with Lagos, same with Kebbi State. And when we wonder, the kind of template that worked in places like the United States, where you have federating units, will go into revenue-generating endeavors where they can actually make money for the state. I mean, governments have not really been a very profitable business entity.
I agree with you.
So they usually provide the environment for private sector. So in that sense, and that was why I was asking, for the crop you want to focus on,
now,
what crop goes better in Plateau? What are you planning to possibly even export out of Plateau, out of Nigeria?
Now, before we talk about export, Sheun, I told you about food security. We need to feed ourselves first. It is when we feed ourselves that we can release the energy for export.
So what crop are you focusing on?
Plateau feeds Nigeria with almost 90% of the potatoes, Irish potatoes you eat. We want to be able to maximize that crop.
Are you going to partner with private sector?
Absolutely.
Have you identified any company?
Our vehicle for governance is PPP. We want to be able to engage the private sector. Today, I can tell you, we have some large pieces of farm. We had the defunct back farms, which the present government bought back. We're already talking with a number of companies that want to reinvest. And we also had famous Bokos Farm project, which unfortunately today is part of the area where there's a lot of insurgency. We need to retake that back and put it to good use. Now, I told you about the ASTC, which is a farming service company, which is a limited liability company that the state government entered into partnership with some Israelis. Now, it has not functioned well in the last couple of years. We need to be able to bring it back to as a functional going concern so that the private sector will have a vehicle to get engaged in agriculture. So we're going to improve farming methods. We're going to look at how to expand the value chain. We're going to look at a lot of ingredients, transit also from small-scale farming holdings to cooperatives, and eventually that we can be able to have large mechanized farms.
All right. On a final note, there is, I mean, you've been in government at the local government level. Yeah. Just briefly, and perhaps 60 seconds because we're out of time now, if you can tell us, because, I mean, there is a history of a former governor of Plateau State that was jailed for allegedly mismanaging the funds of the state to the tune of about $9 million US, and eventually he was being pardoned. So there is this feeling that those who become governor eventually steal the monies of the state. Can you give the people of Plateau State the assurance that Caleb Mutfwang is not the kind of person that will steal their money, but will work for them?
Thank you, Sheol. I can tell Plateau people with all confidence under God, my conscience is clear, and I am determined by the grace of God to come into government clean and live clean. I'm going to ensure that we get value for money, and that I'm going to ensure that we keep watch over the commonwealth that our people have entrusted into our care. By the grace of God, my appetite for greed has been trimmed, and I can assure you that I'm not going there for stealing. I am only going there to make sure that Plateau works again.
Will you look into the books of the government that is outgoing?
Oh, we'll do the normal things. We'll do the normal course of business.
If you
of
find
government.
Anybody wanting?
We would certainly will call him to order.
Order or?
We'll call him to account.
Okay.
We'll call him to account.
Caleb Mutfwang, Governor-elect of Plateau City. Indeed, it's a pleasure talking to you tonight, and I hope that as soon as you get on the ground and things are moving, we would like to have a conversation about the people of Plateau State and how far you've gone with your work. Thank you so much.
It will be my honor and pleasure.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure having you.
Thank you, Wes.
We take a break, everyone. And when we return, it's going to be the National Assembly leadership politics. Stay with me, everyone. We'll be right back. Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us. I told you earlier that we will focus our attention now to the leadership politics of the National Assembly. I told you also that Bola Tinubu has met with the president-elect, has met with the presidential candidate of the NNPP, Mr. Robbie Musa Kwankwaso. They met in France today. Part of the conversation, we understand, is going to be about reconciliation and agreeing on participating in a government of national unity. That is what we understand that meeting was all about in France. I'm now being joined by Honorable Sada Soli, who is one of the speakership aspirants for the House of Reps in the 10th National Assembly. He's live with me here in our Abuja studio. Thank you so much, Honorable, for joining us.
Thank you, Sean, for having me.
I understand that there was a meeting of some of you and your governors in the North Central region. That meeting was more...
Northwest. I'm from Northwest.
Okay, you're from Northwest. I mean, North Central governors had a meeting with the caucus of the North Central governors, and there's still this agitation about the manner in which the APC did the zoning. You are still, you are one of the aspirants. But then, since APC released that zoning, I assume as a party man, probably you've changed your mind, have you?
Well, actually, I'm a party man. Yes, the APC released that zoning. We met, you remember, we met the coalition of the aspirants. We met the NWC. And I can categorically tell you we know what they told us. They were... yes, they released the list, but still they're looking ways how they can address some of the challenges in the process of releasing that list. Let me be honest with you. The president-elect is a full-blown Democrat. He's a full-blown Democrat.
You know him that much?
I know him that much. I have worked with him in 1993 when I was a staff of the National Assembly, was when he was a senator. It was that short stint. So I've known him, and I have followed his political trajectory over a long period of time. When he was in London, I went to see him when he had a knee problem. When he came back, he gave us some small assignment, which we delivered the assignment. So I can relatively say that he's a full-blown Democrat. He's someone who is very inclusive. He is someone who can correct mistakes if his attention is called on the mistakes that were made, because he's a very inclusive politician. He is someone who recruits leadership. Someone who recruits leadership will always accept when things go wrong and go back and address those things.
You think this is a mistake?
I think it was a mistake.
You don't think it's deliberate? A deliberate mistake or a mistake of a deliberate intention?
No, it was not. It was not deliberate.
No,
knowing the person involved.
So is it a mistake of a deliberate intention, of a deliberate mistake of an indeliberate
I didn't
intention?
want to go into those semantics. The issue, the bottom line, is that was a mistake.
Because the question I'm asking, these people you're talking about that made this decision, they're not just new beef for politicians. There are people who have cut their teeth over the years doing all this.
Yeah.
And, I mean, we know what strategic communications is all about.
Let me ask you
when
something.
you want to test the waters, you throw the information out there well in time so that it can swell and douse before you take your decision. I mean, this perhaps has been for over a week now.
I don't think so. But let me ask you something. What is the most difficult thing in public administration?
You tell us.
Managing success.
Is that what your party is facing right now?
Yes. And we should not be arrogant with success.
I mean, I don't know how this will turn out, but you've been in the National Assembly. You should be able to tell us tonight what your sense, what you make of what is going on based on history. Your party has been badly bitten in this kind of trajectory that they're going when you take a decision and there are agitations, especially in the politics of the National Assembly. It has not gone well for your party in the past. Do you think that that could also happen?
It's possible, because it had happened before. History has, can repeat itself. It has already repeated itself. But you see, when you can look back and say, hey, let us look back, we have made a mistake, or there are issues that we need to correct, it's better you correct them before the time is up. We are not yet there. The politics of National Assembly is not outside the chamber. It's within the chamber. Within 30, 40, 10 minutes, the politics of the National Assembly can change. The struggle for the emergence of leadership can always change within 5 minutes in that chamber before the election of that. Those that are aware of that, it had happened to Femi. When they went into chamber with a number of 240, they lost election. Adiola Akande, during Tambol issue, they lost election. In the Senate, they lost election. During Saraki, they lost election because the nitty-gritties were not attended to. Because the politics of National Assembly is not driven from outside.
Honorable.
You must address these issues before you get into the chamber. And I know it can be addressed with the person that is in charge.
You don't think that this is already cast in stone?
I don't think so.
You don't think the president-elect will run away from people like you?
No, because he's a very inclusive person. He's someone who does not run away from challenges. He has been battered enough in Nigerian politics, and you can see him home and dry.
You are from the Northwest. I don't know why you have a problem with what is going on. Because already, some of your brothers are already being nominated and being picked. I mean, you should be dancing on their behalf. Those people who are crying foul, some of them are from the North Central region. It's the North Central, basically, that thinks that they are being changed in the whole scheme of things. Sadasoli, what is your own issue? Do you have an issue?
I have no issue. We have no, even among us, all of us, the contestants, the aspirants, we have no issue with Taju. We have no issue with Ben Kalu. These are our friends. We know their strength. We know what they can do. We have no issue absolutely with them. Let me tell you the process. Can you tell me can you tell me from any news, from any information, if the governors of Northwest were consulted when Abbas was announced? No.
So Abbas is not a consensus.
He's not the issue. He's not the issue. But the way
they didn't consult you.
He was not consulted.
If you were consulted, would you guys have picked anybody else apart from Abbas?
Probably Abbas could have emerged if we had been consulted, and that was the confidence we were given.
So this is an ego problem.
It's not an ego problem.
So if you say that it could have emerged, now the people who you say could have emerged, what then is the problem?
Let me be honest with you, Shewan. Yeah. If I were the person who emerged, if those processes were not addressed, I could have been facing the same problem. What I am saying, we should be learning our mistakes. We should be learning. When I could remember when Speaker Femi called all the aspirants, including Taju himself, he assured us there's going to be consultation, wide-ranging consultation. And you can attest to the fact that even the letter that was the information that was released, in somewhere in the last paragraph or one or two paragraphs, they made mention that wide-ranging consultations will be done. So which means it was not done. Why should a party find itself in this kind of situation when history is there, when there are people of quality to look at this? Look, I don't know why we should have a problem with that. You know why I'm talking like this? The president-elect was a senator. The vice president-elect is a senator. First lady is a senator. The national party chairman is a senator. The national secretary of the party is a senator. The national vice chairman is a senator. Why should they have this kind of problem? They should know the dynamics that play out in the politics of the emergence of the leadership of the national assembly.
Is it a personal fight for you?
It's absolutely not a personal fight, but
because I thought that if those who are agitating, Honorable Tajuddin Abbas from Northwest Kaduna State, Senator Barau Jibrin from Kano, Northwest and North Central lawmakers are agitating that, look, how would you, out of 4 positions, how would you, in any fairness, pick one region with 2 presiding officer positions? But I thought at that moment, Honorable Sarasoli would say, okay, these are my brothers from my region. Or are you campaigning on behalf of the North Central people?
Let me ask you, if you were APC, if you are APC, if you did that, would you say that you have been fair?
No, I'm
just asking you
because I don't answer questions on the program. I'm the one who.
Well, I thought we are exchanging so that we can educate our viewers.
Yes, but for the sake of my job, I don't answer questions. I'm the one who asks the questions. But the question is that you are the.
Okay, Shewan, let me tell you this.
What is your grouse?
Our party, my grouse is I'm a member of the National Assembly. Mm-hmm. I do not want the consequences of the wrong decision to affect my party in 2027. It can be extremely bloody.
Are they listening to you?
I hope they're listening, because it had happened before. We were on the floor in the 6th Assembly, going into the 7th Assembly, the issue of Tambol, and the PDP lost.
Has Tajuddin Abbas met with you?
He has not met with me after the announcement, but we have met. He's a friend of mine. We attended the same school. I told you I have an excellent relationship with Taju. Very, very excellent. We have very good mutual respect. Like I told you earlier on, this issue is not about Taju. Taju is our colleague. Ben Kalu is our colleague. But what we are saying, the party should do the right thing. If the party should bring all of us together, sit with us, listen to us, and we forge ahead. Look, 6 of us or 7 of us, we all have supporters. They should not disregard that. They should not be arrogant with that. We have come along with a number of people.
How would you advise the party to amend what they have done?
I think we have spoken with the NWC and they have listened.
What is your suggestion?
My suggestion is let them call all of us. Let them sit with us. Look, if they have determined that they want to go through with this arrangement, but let them sit with us and we will explain to them certain things that they may not know, and then let us hear them, and then we forge ahead. if that's the decision of the party. Since they say they are reviewing, from what I learned this evening, when the North Central Governors Caucus and others met, they voiced their grievances, which is quite legitimate. And then if you look at the fact that the Northwest took Speaker and the Deputy Senate President, if that is equally fair in the political arrangement, they will also look at that. Look, there is nothing wrong in correcting wrong thing.
All right. Let me allow you to look at this image that how the party has zoned things. What the image that this has given us, because when you have the president-elect from the Southwest, the Northeast, you have the vice president-elect. The party has agreed that Godswill Akpabio from the South for the Senate President, Ibarra Jibrin, Deputy Speaker from the Southeast and Speaker from the Northwest. If you are to rearrange this, how would you do it?
Well, I'm not the party.
But I'm asking you now, Honorable Solly, assuming you are giving...
Anybody with sense of fairness would not do this.
So how would you...
They know what to do. How many regions do we have? And how many positions do we have in the National Assembly?
I want you to rearrange it.
We have the Senate President.
Rearrange it for me.
I'm not party. I'm not APC.
No, I'm having a conversation with you. You've stopped being my friend.
Hold on.
Have you stopped being my friend?
Hold on. I have already voiced my concern for my party.
Yeah.
I've already voiced my campaign, my voice for... Look, I have been involved in the election of 4 speakers in the National Assembly. So I know the politics there. I knew how Ete emerged, how she was removed. I knew how Bankole emerged and the crisis that led in before we left. I knew how Tambol emerged. I knew how Femi emerged. I was the Deputy Director General of his campaign. Even to some extent, I knew how Dogara emerged. And you can see what happened. I was outside, but I was watching, I was talking with our colleagues. We knew how he emerged because there was arrogance in the process of the negotiation.
On the part of your party?
Well, whatever I can say, I don't know.
At the time?
Well, yes, at that time there was arrogance. Arrogance was manifested thinking that they will win. The party will win, will take its way.
And the party was shocked on both
because they should listen.
So I'm asking you to help us make sense of this arrangement and reorder it for us. What you think is fairness from your own judgment?
The party is watching this. And I'm sure the party knows the political arrangement of this country. The party knows how they share responsibilities or how they share power in this country. Anybody, any sensible party that sees this, he knows that there is something wrong.
So reorder it for us.
I'm not the party. I'm not the one who did this.
No, we're the ones who designed based on what party said.
No, you didn't design this.
No, I'm saying that my colleague was the one who put this together.
Yes.
Based on what your party did. And I'm asking you, if you say there is no fairness. So what you cannot change, for example, is the fact that there is a president-elect from the Southwest.
Which we can't change.
There is a VP-elect from the Northeast.
Yes.
So do you agree with the South Senate President?
In your view, what is...
I don't have a view in this. What
my view...
Senate President,
Seun, I have already explained to you my views. My views is let them look at this and let them understand the diversity in National Assembly and the country.
Let me allow everyone to listen to what happened today. Not only in the House of Reps is this conversation heated, and the agitation in the North Central region, and those who feel offended that they have not been consulted duly for over this matter. But the Godswill Akpabio and his friends met with the National Working Committee of the APC, and after that meeting, I'll allow you to listen to what was said after their deliberations.
We must join the incoming President Bola Tinubu, not just to stabilize this country, but to bring more progress to this country, to take it from where we are now to the next level, and to ensure that future generations of this country do not regret the decisions we take today. We assure you that the decision we've taken to give this opportunity to Godswill Akpabio and his brother, Senator Jibrin Barrow, will definitely bring fruits to this country. We are poised and committed to work with the Director General, including our two chairmen who are not here, Governor Omahi, Governor Bello, and many other members who are not here now. About 70 number, we are still growing. I want to appeal through you, sir, that you should talk to some of the members who are in the APC, who are yet to sign up. We just said here that it is important to obey leadership. That obeying leadership is like obeying God.
We shall stand by the policies, objectives, and the entire manifesto of our great party if elected into office. We shall, by every means, try to draw the attentions of our colleagues who are yet to join this campaign team so that they can come along with us, so that together we shall actualize these endorsements.
It has looked to me that the conversations have been progressing, and you heard what Goswell Akpabio said. Obeying leadership is like obeying God. You agree?
I agree, absolutely, because leadership is from God.
So that's what your leadership is saying, this is how they want to zone it.
And why are they talking there? Why is the leadership saying they are looking at the way how they can look at and correct some of the mistakes there? We have a confirmation that they're looking at these things, they're looking how they can bring every member together and see how they can address some of the challenges they are facing. They have acknowledged the fact that, yes, there are challenges, and then they're looking ways how they can resolve these challenges so that we can move ahead. Look, we have less than about 1 month to our inauguration. We shouldn't have found ourselves in this kind of quagmire. The party should not have found itself in this quagmire.
How do you compensate the North Central, for example?
It's the decision of the party, not my decision.
Could the review reflect a compensation?
I'm sure with the ingenuity of the party and then the president-elect and the vice president-elect, I'm sure they can resolve this. They're doing their best to see how they can resolve this so that we will not get into that chamber with some of these hangovers.
Because I understand that those opposition party in the National Assembly who are threatening that they will field candidates back down. They said they are not doing that again. It looks to me that Tajuddin Abbas and his friends have reached out to them.
Cheun, let me tell you the politics of National Assembly. Because they are elites, they are well-educated, these are accomplished people. Today, you'll find A in that meeting. Tomorrow, you'll find B in that meeting. Next tomorrow, you'll find C in that meeting. You won't understand the magic that is being played there
until you get into the floor.
That day. Until that day. So it is incumbent on the party. It's incumbent on those that are listening. It's incumbent on those that are listening. Get these people. You see the way out. Get this. Get us. We are all from the same party. Look, we have friends among all the 360. Remember, we have 262 or more new members. They don't know the politics of National Assembly.
Honorable
and then they're jumping from one place. So anybody that is coming to brandish number, wait until that day. Let them sort out these problems before that day.
Honorable Sada Soli, member of the House of Representatives, member of the APC, thanks so much indeed for coming tonight.
Thank you,
I appreciate it. Thank you. It's good to see you again. Just before we go, our top story that we're bringing to you about the meeting which happened in France between President-elect Bola Tinubu and the presidential candidate of the NNPP, Robbie Kwankwaso. A meeting, we understand, held, which took place yesterday, was brokered by Honorable Abdulmumin Jibrin, Senator Kwankwaso's ally. We understand that the meeting, which held in Paris, was aimed at reconciling the governor of Kano State, Lai Ganduje, with Senator Kwankwaso also. There are the information coming out of it is that the main subject is getting Kwankwaso to join a government of national unity. Those are what our sources are telling us. That's how I close the program tonight. Many thanks everyone for watching. I'm Sean Kimalo. I'll see you tomorrow. God bless Nigeria.